Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be going through my amateur investing report for the month of October, where I cover my passive income generating stocks, my crypto, my passive income generating crypto from staking. We also quickly take a look at my overall portfolio and a little look into my budget. Then I do a full breakdown of all of the individual changes that I've made to my portfolio during that time and where we're at today. So without further ado, I'll jump right into that after a quick word from my sponsor. A big thank you and shout out to my sponsor Cake Wallet, which is an open source, non-custodial Bitcoin and Monero wallet that also has a built-in exchange. It's available on iOS and Android. Thanks again to my sponsor. Let's jump right into it. So as always, we start off by taking a look at my dividend earnings, the total now being $1,361. Which is fantastic. Last month was $115.53. You can see how that's tracking along overall here. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't been adding much to my dividend portfolio, so the growth hasn't been as obvious. I've just been kind of balancing things around, and I'll get into that when we look at the individual changes that I've made, because I've done a lot of rebalancing lately. And I'm kind of just saving up some money for certain things, but at the beginning of 2022, I'm going to be going all in on maxing out my TFSA, and then once I've maxed out my TFSA, I'll probably get right back into crypto and then just be 100% crypto again. In terms of crypto income, I earned $28.36, bringing the total now up to $373.26, which is fantastic. And, it's important to note that as crypto appreciates in value, regardless of what you're being paid out, those payouts might become more and more valuable. And I will bring this up later when we see the current value is basically double of what I've earned now. Just in that time from when I originally recorded it to now, that has already doubled in value. So, it's not just the passive income earning, it's that these assets are also appreciating a lot. So, there's more money to be made than just from staking and getting these passive crypto payments. In terms of other passive income, nothing lately. This is just if I get royalty payments or whatever happens to be from music. For my crypto portfolio, at the beginning of November, I clocked in at $289,310. I'm currently at $306,000. This is just for my main portfolio, but I'm currently at $306,000. So it is up from when I originally recorded this. So that's always good to see. Close to almost 20,000. So, I'm happy with that. Mind you, if you're paying attention, we had a massive surge when we went over all-time highs, and then we kind of came back to where we are now. So my portfolio went all the way up to 343,000 on my main portfolio, and then now back down to where we are now. But when I log this in tomorrow, if it's still at 306,000, you'll notice that again, month over month, it's still increasing regardless of the volatility between months. You can see that generally this is an upward trend, and it's only every now and then that we see pullbacks where it's normally trending upwards, and that's really, really good to see and in line with what I have expected to be the case. So that's good to have that confirmed. In terms of my stock portfolio, at the beginning of November, I clocked this in at $37,116. As you can see, I'm a little bit lower. Recently, my stocks have taken a little bit of a hit. The whole S&P 500 has been taking a hit. It dipped on Friday. It dipped again a little bit yesterday. And then now today it's dipping again. So, it is what it is. I'm not super concerned. I'm still up over 10% on my stock portfolio. And, it's generating pretty good dividends, which we'll talk about in a moment. But, I'm happy with this. It's not ideal, but, I still think this stock portfolio, the way that I've set it up, is very, very conservative and low risk. And as I go into 2022, I'm going to be maxing out my TFSA to just take full advantage of this untaxable investing. In terms of budget, as we always take a quick look at my budget, just to keep me accountable and, so that you guys know that I'm not just telling you guys to save money and then I'm going crazy or, whatever, to give you guys some realistic insight into how much I'm spending versus how much I'm saving and investing. My budget is way higher than I would like it to be. Last year, I only spent $26,000. This year, I'm set to spend $44,000, but I've done a significant amount of things this year that will not be recurring expenses next year. I've paid off my student loan debt, bunch of computer upgrades, new camera, lots of new things that are going to be tax deductible and are not really going to be as bad of a hit as it might seem. But in terms of my budget lately, I've been starting to, cool down my spending. I've already bought everything that I need for the rest of the year. So the next month or so, I will be very frugal. I did have to raise my budget a little higher to $44,000, but I have raised my income accordingly to still be over 70% of my income saved and invested. I only technically need to hit 65% to stay in line with the goal of being able to retire in less than 10 years. With 70%, it's more like close to 8 or 9 years. But either way, being over that goal is the most important thing to ensure that I will, in fact, be able to retire in 10 years or less, as is the whole point of all of this, to show this to you guys. Though realistically, at this point, I now expect to retire in less than 5 years, rather than the original 10. So I'm hoping to finish this before 30 and then retire as a self-made millionaire, 30 under 30 type thing. But, it's not like I'm, expecting that's going to happen, but I'm at 300 and I believe 376,000. I'll bring that up in a moment, but very, very significant from starting with $5,000 in November of 2019 when I really started getting into investing. So it's been quite a journey, and if I can do that in 2 years, nearly 400,000, I think it should be easy enough for me to continue this momentum. I mean, mind you, we had COVID and we had a lot of dips and a lot of different things happened, but if I can keep up this momentum, I believe I can get to $1 million within the next 3 years. And that's kind of going to be my goal. And it's a steep goal, but you do need to have a goal to aim for and kind of work towards to ensure that you're making the right decisions. And if you are making financially astute decisions, then you'll probably lessen the time it actually takes to get to that goal. You just need to be doing the right things and not trying to take shortcuts, as I've always kind of preached. Now, in terms of the individual breakdown, so it's 379,000, not 376. But yeah, so that's the overall portfolio value, which is great. This is my dividends. Not a lot has changed. I mean, I've rebalanced it a little bit, which is great, but not a lot has changed there. In terms of my holdings for crypto, again, not a big amount of changes here, but you could see it's 306,000 for the main portfolio. My staking, like my passive income, has significantly gone up, but that's mainly because the value of Hive has massively increased, and thus the value of this is now over $8,000, which is fantastic. My stock breakdown has really switched around. I mean, it looks still pretty similar, but I've sort of leaned a little bit more into the banking sector and lessened my real estate, insurance, and utilities. And, we might as well jump into the individual things that I've done here. So the first thing I did was I realized that because I'd passed the all-time high and my stock was still saying that it wasn't in the green, it didn't make any sense to me for my Bitcoin ETF. I realized that I'd actually typed it in wrong. And when I realized I was in the green, I kind of decided that I would rather just have my TFSA just solely focused on dividends. I don't like doing growth stock investing, and I've already got so much leveraged into crypto already that I figured, you know what, there's no point in having an ETF where that could give me some benefit within my TFSA, but I'd rather just put it all into dividends and just play that game. While I'm now much more in the negative because, you know, I bought all these stocks recently at much higher prices than I originally did. I still think this was the right move, and I guess I don't need this going forward. I just kept this screenshot to show that I was up almost $200 when I decided to cash out. So, you know, it wasn't like a loss or anything, but I'm not really going to be focused on growth investing anymore. I'm really just going to be focused on building my dividend portfolio and just making the best optimizations I can to make my compounding interest more effective as I go over the years. And that's why into 2022, I want to max out my TFSA and then start taking my my dividend portfolio a little more seriously. For growth crypto, I earned a little bit of Bitcoin. I cashed out my entire ENS airdrop for Dash. So that's why you see there's way more Dash in my portfolio now. Dash is probably the best alternative for spending. I don't know if this is the best thing to be holding for long-term investment. I'm not going to be adding any more to any of these positions, like unless I get more crypto for some reason. But I'm definitely not going to really be building up my, Litecoin, BNB, Dash, all this kind of stuff, unless I'm just receiving that crypto. Because, I have been getting crypto from, rewards and various things, and I will keep that obviously, but I'm not specifically trying to build these up anymore because most of these are just for, everyday spending. So I really don't need this amount. And if I want it to be more long term, it probably should just be in Ethereum or Bitcoin anyways. But I feel pretty good with where things are at. I may look at adding another coin to my portfolio. Feel free to leave suggestions down below. I know there's going to be a ridiculous amount. I'm really just looking for high quality Ethereum alternatives. Not that I think, Ethereum's going to have anything bad happening to it, but I figure I might as well have a tiny percent of my portfolio diversified into ETH alternatives, but they have to be like good alternatives. For example, a lot of people are getting into Solana, but it's highly centralized. They were able to shut down the blockchain. They did 2 times. All that kind of stuff just doesn't seem like a good project, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be an actual replacement or alternative to Ethereum. It could be a centralized version of Ethereum, but that's not what people are really looking for. So that's kind of not really for me. I might be looking more at things like DOT and Matic, but we'll see how things play out. I might not invest in anything, but again, I'm open to hearing suggestions. In terms of my staking crypto, and I'm going to do dividends last today because there were so many changes. Normally I do that first. In terms of staking crypto, I mentioned that the price of these have gone up a lot, or at least mainly for Hive, like exponentially. And Blurt has also notably gone up in value. I believe the last time I clocked this in, it was like 2.5 cents, and now it's 4.7. Hive is up like almost 3x, which is insane, but also, fantastic. And I'm just continuing to take my earnings and build this up and keep adding to this. You can see I've added a little bit just from various payouts and things. I've just been continuing to top this up. As I mentioned before, it was about $28 earned when I originally recorded it, but today that is worth $52. So almost 2x, not quite, but the fact that you can earn your passive crypto and then it might double in value, in just like a month or so from appreciation is pretty substantial. And, it just goes to show why passive income can be great as well in the crypto game. You're just, continuing to hold, keeping earning those rewards, staking, all that good stuff, and then just continuing to hold and watching the price appreciate and just building that up. It's much easier to build a passive income portfolio with crypto than it is with stocks, but it's obviously much more risky because you have a lot more volatility where the actual underlying asset could also significantly drop, kind of making a lot of those payouts frivolous, whereas you're not likely to see as big of drops with like a stock. So something to consider for risk tolerance. Now, when we're looking at my dividend portfolio, unfortunately, I am down like $1,000 in gains, which is, it's unideal, but I did a ridiculous amount of, moving things around and just shifting balances around and making things a little bit more optimized. Essentially, I was just kind of exiting some of my poorer performing stocks and moving around based on how yields were performing and just kind of shrinking the portfolio and shoring things up a little bit. I'm going to regularly be kind of like pruning my stock portfolio because you want to have like a small portfolio. I might still have too many stocks with about having 25 that I have now. That's not a terrible number, but you want to have enough that you can easily check in on updates and manage your portfolio without being overwhelmed with the amount of things that you have to keep up with. But essentially, all I really did was just kind of move things around based on yield from the stocks that I already had. And I just kind of moved a couple things around. I introduced a few new stocks, but nothing, really that big of a deal. I was mainly exiting out of like anything to do with US because these yields were dropping exponentially. And my rules have always been to mainly focus on local. I was maybe only like 5 to 10% US, but now I'm basically going to be 100% invested in Canadian stocks. I also sold off my BMO covered calls because covered calls are terrible. And I didn't fully understand it at first. But now that I've got a better understanding, I don't think that's a very good investment personally. That's kind of like a yield chasing thing. I think it's very important to aim for a good average yield, but you don't want to chase yields because high yields in the stock game are pretty risky, and covered calls are not really that good for appreciation. And it's just not something that I'm interested in doing. So I'm always going the low risk tolerance route when it comes to stock investing. That's pretty much everything, though. I think this gives you guys a good overview of my portfolio, where I'm at, the changes I made. Like I said, I kind of added a little bit more to the banking industry and pulled a little bit more out of insurance and real estate. And I added a little bit more into my ETFs. I didn't add any extra money aside from the basic deposits that my bank is already making and my dividends, and then I just reinvested that, obviously. Very soon, though, after next month, I will be throwing tons and tons of money into this, so you'll be able to see exactly how I'm investing when I have a lot more capital behind me, where I'm actually, choosing to make new investments. A lot of this will just be keeping my portfolio balanced, similar to the way this is right now, and yeah, just kind of maneuvering based on how things are playing out. Unfortunately for me, Manulife Insurance is the biggest loser I have right now. But I mean, I did just buy a bunch more stocks and move things around. I sold out of Sun Life because they had pretty low performing yield, and I just focused on these 3 insurance stocks. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. Let me know what you guys are doing, though. I'm always interested to hear, what are you investing in? What crypto are you investing in? How are you earning, staking, lending, dividends, all that good stuff. I'm always curious to hear what you guys are doing, how it's performing for you, how I could potentially utilize those same strategies. I'd love to hear any suggestions you have for a solid Ethereum alternative that doesn't have issues around centralization and things of that nature. So not Solana as an example. I'm definitely looking for something that is pretty solid and offers actual solutions. I mean, I would say BSC and BNB are probably one of the best working alternatives currently, but I'm open to seeing other alternatives and putting a small percent of my portfolio into some new stuff. Still 100% confident that ETH 2.0 is going to do amazing things, but I'm now a little bit more willing to start testing out new things, especially with gas fees just being so outrageous. And if you've seen my recent video, I've spent over $11,000 US at the current value of Ethereum worth on gas fees. So very unfortunate, but it is what it is. It was all profitable trades at the time anyways, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, let me know. What do you think of all these changes? Where do you think things are going over the next little while? Have we hit the peak for Bitcoin and Ethereum for 2021? I don't think so. I think we're going to see some insane stuff over the next couple of months. And I'm going to be extremely vigilant. And the best part is that even if something crazy doesn't happen, I still have all the faith going forward into 2022 that if we don't see the run up soon, we'll see it in a little bit. So either way, let me know what you guys are doing. And if you did watch to the very end, I really appreciate it. I know sometimes these go really long, but do comment #1ham in the comments below. And that way I know you watched the full video. Anyways, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, signing off. Cheers.